is a beautiful state. I want it to be as red as it can be. I want them to be on the same page with everybody, with the president on deportation and strong immigration. Whiskey Tango Foxtrot is going on with this bill. So let's bring in one of the state lawmakers, Senator Randy Fine. We've exchanged some words on X. Now, I've never met Senator Fine before. This is our first time ever talking face to face, and he's joined the program. So, Senator, I will give you some credit because most lawmakers do not unless they have a book to sell. So you are here today. Let me just start with the most obvious. Why in the world are certain Republicans in Tallahassee wanting to give the agriculture commissioner immigration enforcement power? What other states have done this?
Well, Dana, thanks for having me on. I'm a huge fan. I understand you're getting over the flu, and I wish you the best. I just got over it, and it's pretty terrible. Yeah. But we did this. A lot of this is miscommunication. The governor wanted a bill that gave chief immigration enforcement responsibility to someone in the deep state. He didn't want the responsibility himself. Why? Because he's busy doing a good job running the state. We thought it should be a statewide elected official. And that's why we gave it to Wilton Simpson, because we thought it should be someone who should be accountable to the voters. And we thought he had the time and the ability to handle it.
So that's even in contravention of the Department of Justice, which recently clarified that that position does not have that authority, that authority is vested with the governor of the state. So how do you get around that?
Well, that was what the Biden Department of Justice said last year. And frankly, I think we're seeing that the way the Biden administration did just about everything was wrong. We wouldn't be in this situation.
But I think that's just trying to say that that's tainted by association. I mean, what other states have put the agriculture commissioner in charge of immigration enforcement?
Well, in Florida, the agriculture commissioner does a whole lot more than agriculture. I know how much you care about guns. And in Florida, it's the agriculture commissioner that's responsible for guns. It's actually the Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services. And yes, our current commissioner is a farmer, but he's one of only 4 statewide elected officials in the state. The other one being the attorney general, which is open, and the other one being the CFO, where the current incumbent is about to join me in Congress. So there really only were 2 positions that we could give it to. We don't have 15. And it was really important that we give it to someone who was elected.
But it looks as though, because I've actually read this. I don't bring people on and not read the things that I'm talking about. And, you said that you're a fan, so you obviously know this about me. I'm a little nuts about this.
Lady.
So
you're a smart lady.
What I don't understand is when I'm looking at this, it's just creating more bureaucracy. And that's not a talking point that's floating on X. I mean, it actually does. I mean, you're creating another level of bureaucracy that, to me, slows down this entire process. And what's more, there's a conflict of interest when you're giving this enforcement power to someone. You're taking it from the governor, which I think also violates Florida's constitution, just from my reading and understanding of that. You're giving it to, as Wilton Simpson, a farmer who has interests that conflict with his ability to do his job above reproach. That's a problem with voters. I mean, you clearly see the conflict of interest there.
I don't. And part of the reason we created more resources is the things that we have passed on illegal immigration haven't been implemented. So we passed E-Verify
because you didn't fund it.
Ago.
You guys didn't fund it. That's why you passed these things and you didn't fund it. So you could say that the governor didn't do anything.
We fund plenty, but then don't come back and say we didn't fund it. And now when we put in funding and we create new positions, say we're creating a new bureaucracy. People have to choose one or the other. There's no question we want to make sure the Trump administration has the resources. And we put this bill together by asking them what they need to be successful. And they said they needed more beds, more badges.
Well, then why did Trump tweet out about DeSantis's bill and not your? Have you guys actually did Trump endorse your bill?
Well, first off, President Trump endorsed the idea of a special session. He has not endorsed any of the policies publicly, frankly, of our bill or Governor DeSantis'
he endorsed deportation, which your bill doesn't mention at one time.
Well, we all want deportation, but
then why isn't your bill? Why isn't it in the bill?
Because the federal government deports.
Okay, and so bringing back to the point, only the governor has that authority to be working with the federal government in that way. The AG commissioner does not have that authority with the way the current law is written.
But we don't agree with that. Look, we give the
Okay,
attorney general
you can
a lot
say
of
that you
ability
don't
to
agree
do
with it.
things
How is that
the governor.
helping how is that helping Trump's deportation operation when your bill doesn't mention deportation? When you create another level of bureaucracy, you're all this stuff. All I'm seeing and all voters are seeing is that you're putting someone with a conflict of interest in charge of immigration enforcement and someone who exempted themselves from E-Verify. Wilton Simpson, the guy that you guys want to put in charge of this, exempted himself from E-Verify. How is that not a conflict of interest?
He doesn't have a conflict of interest because the E-Verify that we passed that we wanted to be enforced hasn't been. So we have a situation
Because you
where we
didn't
have
fund the
passed
ability
real
to
strong-
enforce it so you could use it as a talking point.
we
I
have
mean, I have
funded-
this.
We have funded plenty of things. Either we funded it and it wasn't done, or we didn't fund it and we're
Well, I
creating
mean,
a new
you can go,
bureaucracy.
and everyone, I would encourage you to go to my Substack because I have all your votes on this listed there. And so people can follow along, with it live. We're talking with Senator Randy Fine from Florida, who did agree to come on, and I appreciate that he did, to talk about this.
I'm honored to be here.
But this is my issue. I'm just trying to figure out this like Rube Goldberg way of carrying out deportations and assisting the Trump administration, but yet the bill, it's almost like it's designed to fail. I mean, surely you see the concerns voters have on this.
It's not, because 95% of law enforcement in Florida is done by sheriffs and local police.
And they
chiefs.
came out against
And
this, by the way.
Association-
FDLE
Sheriff's
that
Association-
posted January 3rd,
The
6:20
FDLE is a
p.m.
Very, very small. FDLE is a very small percentage
not
of
the
law
only
enforcement.
ones.
It's the sheriffs, and the Florida sheriff supported our bill.
You
because
had
we're
two
putting
sheriffs
in-
that were standing with the Florida governor when he held a press conference talking about his bill. So clearly there's not that consensus you're insinuating with us.
No, I'm telling you the truth. The Florida Sheriff's Association's endorsed the bill. I had dinner with a sheriff just a couple nights ago who's very concerned about it. But the sheriffs stand with us because, look,
you had
we can
sheriffs
argue
also,
about
again, like
who
I
should
said,
be
with
in
the
charge.
Florida governor. But back to my point, though, with this, what other state has put the AG commissioner in charge of this and changed their state constitution? That it doesn't make any sense, especially when it's the governor that gets to make these sorts of calls. I mean, I have concerns because you're now going to be going to Congress. You just won a special seat in Congress. You're going to, interestingly, a district that the governor used to hold, Florida's 6th congressional district. There are concerns that that what you are a part of here is going to be happening federally, that you're going to be taking that to D.C., and that's not going to be working so well with the Trump immigration deportation operation that he's wanting to implement.
Look, the president helped us design the bill. His people were involved with us creating the bill. The reason it changed so much from the first day to the second day is because they told us.
You're telling me that Trump wrote the bill? You lost light. It's all right.
No,
that happens from
sorry
time to
about that.
time. There you go. Don't worry.
No. We worked with the White House and got technical advice on things. And by the way, the reason you saw mandatory death sentences for illegal immigrants that commit
that was already law.
crimes,
that's already law, Senator.
That was not law.
Yes, mandatory death sentences was absolutely already law.
No, mandatory death sentence for one type of crime was law, but not in general. That's
how
not
are you
true.
going to defend this against those who say that this is that what you're essentially doing by taking this power from the Florida governor, giving it to the AG, the commissioner? How is that going to pass muster in a court of law? I mean, I can't imagine. I mean, that's in direct contravention to the state constitution of Florida.
But it's not. The commissioner of agriculture is responsible for gun policy. That's not the governor.
We're not talking about gun policy. We're talking about immigration enforcement, which it's very clearly in the power of the governor.
The legislature decides which of these 4 cabinet officers has what responsibility. And look, it sounds like that's really what we're arguing about. It's not about the bill itself.
Oh, no, it's the bill itself also. I mean, there's no deportation in it.
Is the governor or is it Wilton Simpson? And by the way, I respect the people who believe the governor should be in charge. I really do. And I think there's a reasonable argument.
Honestly, I have to tell you, Senator, from your timeline and the timeline of others, it doesn't look like it. Daniel Perez and Joe Gruters. I mean, I've never seen so many lawmakers throw insults and call voters bots for simply like bringing up questions about this. I mean, you do see that.
Well, look, I think this entire thing happened in a very unfortunate way. It would have been nice if the governor called us, we got together, we came up with a plan together. That didn't happen. And so a lot of what you see here is unfortunate miscommunication. But look, whether it should be someone in the deep state as the governor wants to be the chief immigration officer.
How is that guy, who's this deep state appointee that you're talking
The
about?
governor wants a staff member to be the chief immigration officer. We wanted somebody elected.
So you want an
That's real
egg farmer that has ties to illegal labor and exempted himself from E-Verify. You think that's better?
I'm not aware of any accusations ever that President Simpson's ever used illegal immigrants on his farm. And frankly, he's someone that we all supported. Republicans shouldn't be taking pot shots at each other about this. Look, Ron DeSantis can say, I think.
But you've done that
despite
with
the
the
fact
governor after you went out and supported him. You did a 180, and then you've been calling him
I
Santis.
did over issues of anti-Semitism, which I'm happy to talk about another time.
Because he went to Ireland to talk about it for a business. That's beyond the point. Senator, I don't think that you want to get involved in like straw man and ad hominem with me. I will caution you on that.
I'm not trying to. You're the one who brought up that I flipped on DeSantis. I'm just saying
because you accused him of being an anti-Semite as a deflection for you guys trying to codify amnesty and strip the governor of all enforcement power.
I'm not talking about that at all.
So you're literally trying to. Are you trying to pull Godwin's law on me after? Because I'm just asking you about immigration enforcement.
I do not think that in any way, shape, or form. I just think there's a fundamental disagreement over whether it should be a staff member from the deep state or an elected official.
Yes, an illegal labor exempting E-Verify egg farmer. Yes.
DeSantis could come back and say, I want to be the chief immigration officer. But that's not what he wanted. He wanted someone down in the deep state who wanted to do that. He didn't want the job himself. And so we thought it should be
I really doubt that the guy that I think his last name is Guthrie. I really doubt that guy is deep state. But I do think it's an interesting deflection to take attention off the fact that you have a certain number of Republican lawmakers that are trying to put immigration enforcement in the hands of someone whose credibility is absolutely legitimately questioned. And there's a lot of this is a guy who also voted to exempt illegal immigrants from having to be here, people be here illegally to practice law or to even be a judge. I mean, you're talking about people who wanted to give illegal aliens driver's licenses, and yet you want to put that type of person involved in immigration enforcement. Honestly, it seems like there's a grudge match that some of you have against the Florida governor at the expense of Florida voters. What do you say to that?
The way we look at it is Wilton Simpson's going to be on the ballot for re-election next year. And
why haven't you sent the bill to his desk, though?
We did, because this is the bill that we thought was good. But I would note that when we heard
did you read the bill? Because I know that it came out last minute, 80 some odd pages, and not everybody read it.
The bill along with Senator Cruz. I'm one of the two sponsors, but I'll point this out to you. There were 4 amendments filed to this bill on the floor. They were all filed by Democrats. The people who supported
they're happy with it.
But some of them are.
Oh, no, they were cheering y'all. They're like using you guys in their ads.
Listen, none of the people who supported the governor's ideas introduced any of his ideas as amendments.
Jay Collins didn't introduce anything. Blazen Golia didn't introduce anything. Come on, that's not being genuine here, Senator.
Not one. They didn't introduce. Democrats introduced 4. Republicans that didn't agree with us introduced.
No, that's not what I've been seeing from what these senators have been pushing.
They did not introduce any amendments to the bill. They could have. 4 Democrats.
What I would like to do, because we do a radio program and not a podcast, and I know that you were claiming that you were coming on for an hour, and I wanted to make sure that was straight. We're coming up against a hard break, but I want to watch this. And depending on what happens, one last quick thing, I know Kane's going to kill me. Are you guys going to send this bill to DeSantis to sign? Are you just waiting for the public to lose interest in it?
That's not my decision to make. But it has to be sent to him at some point. He has sometimes asked for bills to be held 3 months before they're sent to him.
From what I've seen,
I don't know when that'll be done. I'm just a state senator. I'm not a speaker or a president. That's their call. So I just don't know. For now. Now you're going to the 6th district. Eventually.
We have a Senator Randy Fine. We're out of time at this particular point. But depending on what happens with this, we may have you back. I appreciate you showing up, though, and having the discussion.
The invitation was an honor. Again, I'm a huge fan.
Thank you. Good to talk with you. That's Senator Randy.